You would have seen, I'm sure, both plans outlined. What have you made of the coalitions?
Oh, look, I think both plans are very interesting, and obviously I'll focus on the coalitions from the context of that's likely to be the legislation that would be put before the Parliament. The Labor Party, in all of these circumstances, always offers an alternative were they to get into government. So I'll have to focus on that. But look, up front, it looks okay. As always, we'll have to delve into the detail to see to make sure that the program can be executed well and achieve the objectives.
For now, though, what you'd be likely to support it?
Oh, look, I think my starting position on this is support, but I generally find with all of these things, when you look into the detail, typically after something like a Senate inquiry, where perspectives are put forward that you didn't kind of think of, there might be some scope for changes, but I think it's likely to get support of the Parliament.
Interesting to hear the Minister, Alan Tudge, say, look, we'd love to start it earlier. Remember, it doesn't kick in until July next year, but we've got to, sort out the IT systems. They must be some awful IT system if it's really going to take, 14 months to sort this out.
Well, it is interesting because a lot of other legislation that they put forward, particularly in relation to things like superannuation, they always resist delayed start times and enforce upon industry the need to quickly update systems. So I think that's a poor response.
What, you don't believe it?
Well, I just think the government has to do better. You can't sit around and blame your IT systems. They're happy to put pressure on private industry when it comes to software changes needed to deal with new legislation, but not prepared to do so themselves.
Yeah, well, you can backdate payments too, but anyway, doesn't seem to be on capabilities, I wouldn't have thought. Interested in your thoughts on the situation in India. The government, well, first of all, slamming the gate shut, if you like, and also that it comes with a criminal offence. The government's argument, well, it's just, the nature of the Biosecurity Act, but clearly they initially wanted the message out there. They were being tough guys and the 5-year jail sentence.
Yeah, look, the government's role is to help people when they're overseas and they require assistance, not to criminalise them for wanting to make the journey back to Australia. I think this is hitting a nut with a sledgehammer, and there is fault in the government side in relation to this. We're in this pandemic. We've been inside the pandemic for well over a year now. There probably does need to be a strengthening of some of our quarantine options. We're also sitting in a situation where we haven't had a proper vaccine rollout. And there are actually some constitutional questions in relation to the regulation that has been passed, although I note that the regulation itself expires on the 15th of May. So, I don't think we'll get to any particular challenge in the Senate, but were someone to come back and be charged with a criminal offence for returning to their home country, I think there could be a constitutional defence.
Maybe even a court case that sets some sort of precedent. What about, I don't know what you've been able to find out, because when the government's asked about other quarantine options, Toowoomba, Victoria, whatever it might be, we just get vague comments back. Are you talking to anyone at government level? Is there serious work going on to get more quarantine options in Australia?
Much of the work in relation to this has been done through the Senate Select Committee into COVID-19, and really that's about putting pressure on government to come up with better options. Ultimately it is for government to make these decisions, and politics is about trying to put pressure on to make sensible changes.
Right, but again, through that committee, through any discourse you're having, do you have any sort of indication there's proper work going on either the options being put up so far or the government's own option, an alternative?
Sure. One of the difficulties we have, of course, is everything seems to be sort of confronted with cabinet in confidence under the new national cabinet arrangements. So it has been pretty hard to penetrate. Again, what we're trying to do is put pressure on the government to come up with better options to make sure that we can repatriate as many Australians from all destinations as quickly as possible.
All right. I wanted to ask you finally about the Port of Darwin. An indication the new Defence Minister, might even look at forced divestment. It's in the hands at the moment via a 99-year lease of the Chinese Communist Party. What did you make of that?
Oh, look, I think this is a remedy that's been a long time coming. There were some sort of questions as to whether or not the new Foreign Relations Bill would permit the cancellation of the lease. But I think perhaps the next cab off the rank might be the changes to the FIRB laws that are before the Parliament. We've put in place, perhaps as a lesson from this mistake that was made, legislation around critical infrastructure and the FIRB's role in making sure that critical infrastructure is kept in sovereign hands, or at least in safe hands. I think we do need to redress what has happened with the Port of Darwin and make sure that we have learnt moving forward to be a lot more careful. I think actually the government is doing that.
Just finally and briefly, what have you made of some of the pretty strong comments from Peter Dutton and also Mike Pezzullo? Some specifically to do with China, some not mentioning China.
Well, I think that Peter Dutton has come out pretty strong on this, and look, I think he's reflecting a concern. Governments always have as a first responsibility defence of Australia, and I share similar concerns to the Defence Minister. What I'm actually worried about is some of our programs that we've got in place are long-term programs that may not respond in time for the sorts of events that are sort of appearing on the horizon, both in relation to the South China Sea and Taiwan.
Rex Patrick, we talk to you each Monday. Appreciate your time. Talk again next week. Thank you.